Hey, Bill here from Tactical Hyve with CCW USA. We're coming to you from the Glock store in San Diego, California. Wanted to talk to you a little bit about concealed carry tactics. Just want to introduce my son, Brandon. He's going to be helping us out here with some of these CCW tactics, just to kind of give an example of how this might apply or what the principles are and how we would apply them in an actual defensive encounter. Really, your first line of defense is your situational awareness. It's paying attention to things around you. It's being aware of what's going on in your immediate environment, especially when you're in transitional spaces. Whenever you're out and about in between your vehicle and a building, outside your home, at the mall, in a shopping center, in a parking structure, you want to pay attention. You don't want to be distracted. You don't want to be not paying attention, because that creates an opportunity for bad guys to target you or select you as a potential target. Most bad guys will conduct some kind of a pre-incident interview, or they'll do some kind of a strategy check to see if you're paying attention or not. They could ask you what time it is. They could ask you for spare change. They could just say, hey, what's up? And just kind of see how you react. Do you look away? Do you make eye contact? Not aggressive eye contact, but do you make passive eye contact? Are you paying attention to your surroundings? Are you easily distractible? Those are the kind of things we want to try to not look like food in an environment where there's predators. So in the real world, there's predators and there's prey. There's also sheepdogs, and we want to look more like a sheepdog. So we want to be paying attention. We want to be aware of our surroundings. We want to really be switched on when we're out in public. Really not looking for trouble, but looking to avoid trouble. And that's kind of our constant paying attention to those surroundings. Not walking right next to the building, but not walking out in the middle of the street. There's no way you can be 21 feet away from everybody when you're walking at the mall. So how do you strategize that? How do you pay attention? Keep an eye on people. Look at people, make eye contact, look at their hands. You can kind of predict what people are doing based on their body language. A big portion of what we recognize in the real world is body language. Somebody doesn't have to say something to you for you to get a bad feeling or get an unusual feeling. We're not out there looking for trouble. We're not out looking for problems to solve. But if a problem comes to us, we've got to have some solutions. So having some tools in your toolbox, having a variety of different things, from verbal skills with de-escalation, how am I going to communicate or calm that person down if they're agitated, having some physical skills, maintaining distance so you're not really close to people when you walk around a corner, or you're not just walking up on somebody invading their personal space. And then having some physical combative skills so you could defend against a sudden, surprise, immediate attack. Other options that I highly encourage people to get are pepper spray, any kind of self-defense tools. Carrying a pocket knife isn't a bad idea. Having a taser or less lethal option. Something that you could go to if your physical skills either aren't up to par, need a little more training, or you're just not physically capable of defending yourself based on your age or any infirmity. Situational awareness is going to break down probably 98% of your problems you can avoid by just being aware of your surroundings. The 2% where something actually happens, where you actually might have to talk to somebody, engage them in any kind of conversation, or physically defend against an attack, you need to be very specific on how you do that. You need to be aggressive, you need to be assertive, and you need to have some tools that you can work with so you know exactly what you need to do and how you're going to do it. To break it down into simple terms, I like to use 3 Ds: defend, distance, and draw. If I don't have distance on somebody, maybe I'm trapped in a confined space, I'm inside an elevator or a small room, not a lot of distance I can gain, I'm in that proximity, they've got the proximity advantage or maybe a tactical advantage. When they initiate that attack, reaching for your gun or suddenly drawing for your gun is probably not going to be the best option, because you probably won't have time. If we're well within that 10-foot radius, you're just probably not going to have time to draw your gun. So defending against the initial attack would probably be the best thing. And the best defense is a good offense. So defending and attacking at the same time is a really good strategy. Defend against that initial attack, create some kind of damage or some kind of an injury, and then break off that attack, either continuing in the same direction you were going or creating distance at an angle, laterally left or right, would be a good option, and then moving towards a barricade, any kind of corner, any kind of cover or obstacle, so that I have time to draw my gun if that attack re-engages. The principle is, if you don't defend against the initial attack, you're really acting behind that OODA loop, you're really responding to somebody's initial action, and it's not a good cycle to get into. So if I can disrupt that initial attack with some kind of defensive maneuver and some kind of attack at the same time, and then drive in with that combatives, doing some kind of damage to that individual, create distance laterally, and then draw my gun, I've got a much better option for self-defense. It does require situational awareness, it does require training, and you've got to be able to apply those skills in an unpredictable, chaotic, unseen environment. But if initially, in that initial attack, when he comes in, if he throws a punch or something and I'm able to avoid it and strike him or strike him in here, and these maneuvers all work, I don't need to escalate to deadly force because it's not really a deadly attack. So having some defensive strategies in place that could work could be really beneficial. A couple things, principles I like to derive are, one, protect your head. He throws a punch, I'm protecting my head. Maybe I'm going fingers in the eyes here or hand in the face. If I'm striking the side of the neck, punch in the throat, punch into the face here, anything I can do, knees, palm heel strike, knee strike, elbow, knee strike, whatever I can do to create some kind of injury or damage quickly, and then I could de-escalate or create distance by moving laterally or pushing him one direction and moving the other direction. Now if I need to draw my gun, I'm in a position where I can draw my gun. But that initial attack, if we're early on it, we've got a chance to defend. Now another way to defend, he throws the punch, is I just move. I just move my body. Now if he continues to come at me, I might have to defend at some point. I might have to come in and throw some combatives in order to defend against that. The areas I'm striking on the body, the throat, the head, palm heel strike to the chin, open strike to the throat. Groin is a really good knee strike area, especially for tall guys. Perfect aim. Elbows, open hand strikes to the side of the neck, anywhere on the head is a good target. And then controlling hands too, because I don't know if this is a punch or if there's a knife in this hand. So if all of a sudden he throws a punch and then the other hand he's got a knife and that knife comes in, I'm not expecting a knife, well maybe I should be, but I'm not expecting that, he could cut me. So I want to treat it like it could be a weapon, and I don't know what he's got on him, what's in his arsenal there, or what he's carrying. He could be carrying a gun, a knife, a stick, anything. So close in, do some combatives initially, create distance. Two ways to create distance. He comes in, I can move myself back, or I can push him, or I can do both. If I have more body mass, I can push him. It's going to push him back. That creates some distance. Access a firearm if you need to. If he's much larger than me, I may be pushing myself away to get back to create distance. Another good method for creating distance is when he comes in with that initial attack, is to step off the line, but I'm not creating distance by moving away from him, I'm creating distance by moving past him. So I've got other options for moving around and creating that extra distance, which really distance equals time. That distance to me means time to get on my gun. So the principles we're covering here really deal with defending against an initial attack, creating some kind of distance or space or barriers between you and the bad guy, and then drawing your gun if you have time to get to it and if it's still necessary after that initial attack. Keep in mind these initial attacks happen so quickly, they're in a very compressed time frame. You have to determine what's going on, you have to analyze that situation, decide what you're going to do, orient yourself to that situation, just really recognize what type of an attack is it. Is it a deadly attack? Is it a non-deadly attack? Does it justify the use of my firearm? Legal issues aside, I need to protect myself. So I'm going to use whatever methods are available, whatever tools are available at that particular time. It's not going to happen slowly and deliberately. The person doesn't walk up, sir, I have a knife, could I please attack you now? It's just sudden surprise attack. You may be way behind that pendulum as you're trying to decide what you're going to do and how you're going to make this work, how you're going to survive. So again, whatever your combative skills are, whatever you've trained in, any type of martial arts training that gives you good hand-eye coordination, allows you to defend against physical attacks or recognize physical attacks and defend against them, that's what you want to use. I don't subscribe to specific techniques being this is the only way to do it. There's a ton of ways to defend against an attack. Some of them are just going to be more effective than others. Knife attacks especially can create a tremendous amount of damage in a very short period of time, and they're much quicker than you'd expect. So think about how you're going to deal with that, and then train with the right people. Get some training, do some not just standing training where you're just practicing box drills, just going over and over doing the same thing, but some training where you're actually under a pressure test. You have to actually see if the techniques you're practicing and learning are working and see how they work. Then when you integrate that with your concealed carry, you're actually drawing your gun from concealment after doing some physical defensive tactics, under a little bit of stress, a little elevated heart rate. Does your draw still work? Can you draw and shoot while moving? Can you do this all while thinking and processing and problem solving all at the same time? That's it for me. Bill here with the Tactical Hyve, coming to you from the Glock store and CCW USA.